All right. So if you have ever felt the need to just tear everything down and change it up, this episode is for you. We're gonna get into our first episode with a guest on, and we are super excited to introduce her.
Yeah, today we are welcoming Amanda Dare. She is the founder of Women Owned Wallet, a very unapologetic feminist. Love it, love the energy. And she is on a mission to prove that when women have financial power, they can change the world. So, which is huge. I love that. That's your mission. I love your tagline, putting money in the women, or putting money in the pockets of women.
Wallets.
Putting
money in the wallets of
I
women.
love it. I love it.
I love it too, and I'm gonna keep saying it so it lands over and over.
There's so many W's. So many W's.
W's. Yeah.
Just wow. So many W's. But thank you for coming on today. We're really excited to talk with you, share your story and learn about you. So tell us a little bit about Amanda.
Goodness. Tell us a little bit about Amanda. Well, Amanda, she's a cutie, as you can tell. And she loves Dolly Parton, which is why her hair is blonde, because it's not natural. It's fine. But yeah, so that's me, Amanda Dare. I actually grew up in like Memphis, where everybody was their first and middle name. So I was always Miss Amanda Dare everywhere I went. And had a real Southern accent for a long time, and it comes out when I get sassy. Or drunk, either way. But yeah, I was always creative, always a leader. I'm a middle child and I'm an Aries, so I'm a leader, but also a mediator and always also a peacekeeper. And I grew up with two brothers, always wanting that sisterhood around me and never finding it in those moments. But I was like playing, street hockey, but in a dress, and just like with a crown on and just like engaging with all of these kind of, traditionally more masculine things, but in my own feminine way. So I've always been kind of like fighting to get that feminine vibes out there. And then I went into business and I started my first business in college, y'all. Like, I don't know if you know, actually, because we're all friends.
Yeah.
We friends, besties. But I don't know if you know that I made my first product in college. I made a headband. I love accessories, and pieces of flair is the way. If you've ever seen Office Space, pieces of flair, you had to have like 30 on your outfit or whatever. And I'm like, I was always into that. So I love some accessories. I made my first one as I was a resident assistant, RA of the year. No big deal. Yeah, I can't do anything like low key. It's all high key, everything. So I sold the first one for like $2. And then maybe a few months later, I had a storefront. Like it just, I just, again, can't do anything without making you say, wow.
Love that.
Because I just said wow.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, 2 months later, storefront?
Yeah.
I love it.
It's an interesting build, but once I make a decision is made, we move forward, and that's difficult in times of transition, which I've been going through a lot of lately. So I'm excited to get into that too. Thanks for having me as well. I'm so excited to be here with you cuties.
Yeah.
And I'm like, longtime listener of your few episodes already out. So I'm very, very appreciative to be your first guest.
We manifested that. We were like, Amanda has to be our first guest. We're not going to push it. We know she's super busy. She's going through her transition and all the things. So if it works out, it works out. And sure enough, you scheduled and you were the first one.
Yeah.
Look
at her, so crying you are. It's going to be so cute. Yeah, well, y'all just held that boundary for me because I said I'm in this moment of transition. I'm going to be a lot more available in January that's when we're recording. And so I appreciated you holding that space for me as well.
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're excited for it. Like, I've been looking forward to this like all week.
It's Mondays here all week. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Yes. Since this morning, I've been looking forward to this.
So you said you're kind of like in the season of transitioning, which is exciting. So what does that actually look like day to day for you where you are right now?
Oh, goodness. I mean, I've owned 6 businesses in the last 16 years, so I think transitions are a thing that I'm going to be comfortable with. Never. I don't enjoy them. I really enjoy, like I said, being kind of having a decision made and running with it. That's talking dirty to me at that point. It feels good. But for me right now, day to day, it's my house is full of everything that was in my storefront. So I ran a storefront in downtown Louisville. It's a New Lou area. New Louisville, New Lou. That's why they're trying to make it a thing, and it's cute. But it's quicker than saying Louisville to everybody, and when they say it wrong because they're tourists and they're like Louisville, and I'm like, no, it's like a mouthful of marbles, Louisville. Yeah. So I had that storefront for 5.5 years. I've actually owned storefronts for about 15 years. Wow. And I'll say my first Saturday off after having storefronts for 15 years was last week, and it was amazing to not even know it was Saturday. Like, that was so weird to me because I would have been so clued into that being my biggest sales day. And how do I make sure that I have the most energy on a Saturday instead of releasing the week and enjoying the weekend? I went to brunch with my husband. We went and we call it puttering. We puttered around where there's no real point, but I get a lot of creative energy when I view other creative things. So we like to go to antique stores and all these different places. So we puttered with our little drink. It was so fun. And of course, I work almost all with women because I've been wanting to have that sisterhood throughout my entire journey. So we went to a woman-owned place, W.O.W Bakery. Obsessed, by the way.
I've had their sandwiches.
Oh, they're so good. You'll have to go. Yes. We'll schedule our next meeting there. My next goal is to schedule all my meetings and all my coffees and all my lunches at woman-owned spaces just to enjoy them more.
Love it.
And especially as someone who felt kind of tethered and anchored truly, even eventually strangled a little bit by the intensity of having to stay in one place. When I really wanted to be everywhere in the community, it was beautiful to take that Saturday and to enjoy that fully with, my husband I've known 22 years. We met in 9th grade. And so it just to have all that time with my best friend. And he was just welcome to the weekend. This is what it is. I was like, cool. You haven't even had a weekend or truthfully a time where I didn't feel guilty if I was off on a Saturday, because I've had Saturdays off. I shouldn't say it exactly like that. But my mind was not off. My mind was on, is our best sales day of the week going to pay the bills next week, or is it going to pay the payroll? And, sometimes it was wow, I really can be away from this. It's great. It's going really great. And then sometimes it was wow, I wish I was there. And I had that pull and that guilt towards this responsibility of being in my storefront, in my space. And I just to not know that it was Saturday just literally blew my mind. So we shopped at a few women-owned businesses that are right next to W.O.W Bakery, went to my friend's opening. So in a way, it's work, but it's not work. They are my friends. And it was just a beautiful morning. And then we went to antique shops, and then I took a nap. And I was just
that for you
released and from that stress, and I felt the relief from all of it. And man, I don't know when I took a nap last time. It was glorious. My cats were laying on top of me just purring, and I was just watching YouTube and fell right asleep. And that calmness that came over me was really needed and appreciated. And I felt just proud of myself for also being able to be calm on a Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure it was hard to shut off your brain because you've been doing that for years, so long. It can be tough to do when you're feeling, it's almost like your muscle memory and you're feeling pulled to do things. So to be able to nap, that's
let's do that. Tough.
Yeah.
But one thing I really admire about you is, so retail is one of the hardest businesses to be successful in. Retail and restaurants, they say.
I was going to say, restaurants are worse.
Yes.
Trust me.
Yes.
But my stuff isn't perishable. And I always worry about the lower margins that restaurants have. That's one of them that I was like, man, it would be really cool to have. And then I'm like, it's for someone. Yeah. But I am just now learning to cook, so maybe it's not for me, Maybe a coffee shop one day, we'll see. But the restaurants, the profits margins are low, and you have to keep everything moving, and you really rely on a lot of people. And within retail, I sold one of those headbands I was just talking about 8 years after I made it.
Wow.
So
Yeah. It was still there.
it's very different.
Yeah.
But definitely, it's still difficult. You have to be there every day. I missed Christmases. I missed Thanksgivings, birthdays, weddings, travel. I missed a lot and sacrificed that in a beautiful way to grow the brand. And I loved being in the space, but it is a consistent responsibility.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I mean, you've managed to build a huge, unique and successful brand. So being in retail. So that's really awesome. And I'm sure a lot of people have kind of the same question, like what was, how? Like what were the steps on, okay, like I know you wanted to be more into sisterhood and that's kind of like your mission behind what you do. And I love that. But what really drove this business forward and the success in your retail business?
I love that question. Thank you. I would say there's about 20,000 answers I could give to you, and I'm going to just start writing a book about that question and utilize it as my journal prompt every morning.
Stay tuned for Amanda's
Stay
book.
tuned. Woman Unlocked the book. Actually, I'm working on it. Shush, shush, shush. Don't tell anybody everything.
You heard it first here on her roundtable.
Not even on my podcast yet. Yes, the tea. Yes. So, exactly. Ooh, the table. The round table brings it all out. All the truths.
There's some magic in here.
Yes. Well, I did have 5 other retail businesses before I opened Woman Owned Wallet. So that is a definite benefit to being able to know kind of what works and what didn't. And my other ones were not as financially successful. And each one became more financially successful than the last. So, WOW has brought in over $1 million. I mean, in 5 years, that's not easy, but it's definitely not, the biggest business it could be yet. I'm excited for when it brings $1 million a year and more and more and more, because I do believe that the concept is large enough to scale beyond me, which I do think is why it's important to not always have your name in your business so it can scale beyond you. Mm-hmm. Plus, I always want to own my name, and like people like Kate Spade had to sell their name with their business. So it's just another little tidbit. But I do think having that experience of those other spaces, I had a storefront on almost every street in town. So I've had one in Bardstown. I've had one on Frankfurt. I was in the mall for a few years. I had a mobile boutique that I drove around. So if I wasn't a permanent space, I took a shuttle bus and renovated it.
Nice.
I know. And I think shuttle buses are the cutest. I see one now and I'll be with my hubby and he's like, not again. Not yet. No. Because I've also, I talk about money every day, but I also went into debt for all of my dreams, and I didn't have a nest egg to get started with. I didn't have my get it going house. What did you say it was? Like your house you sell.
Get you in the game.
Get you in the game house.
The game. Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't have that get you in the game. I just leaped every time. The most money I ever saved up for my business was $2,000 to buy my first shuttle bus, and then I ended up buying a second one on a credit card. Not a good idea. No, not a good idea. And then that one on renovated it, and then went to my first photo shoot for that event. The transmission died on the way there. Literally had to be picked up off the side of the road and brought all of my product, which at the time was all fashion that I had sewn and designed and everything, to this photo shoot. And then stuff would just happen all the time with it. So, but the point being is that I was on every street in town. I was everywhere. And in a lot of the beginning parts of business, having a storefront isn't the right decision. Mm-hmm. Being stuck in one place is beautiful it builds a lot of trust. Mm-hmm. It is easier to make a sale because they know if they need to return it, they know where you are. They know you're dedicated to the business because you're paying that rent. They know, they can see your vibes, they can see your work in front of them. So they know the trust and the close of the sale is a little bit simpler in a storefront. But to get people excited about the brand and the community and get them into the storefront, you have to be everywhere to begin. So I think through building that, being in all those locations, building that community before I opened the store was also very beneficial. So those two things kind of helped me along the way, whereas my last business made over $1 million, but it took me 8 years. And this one hit it right about, I would say 4.5. I mean, I opened it in COVID. So some of those years were like trash sales. And we're just truly me figuring it out. I rented my space in Nulu in April of 2020, thinking the pandemic would be 2 weeks. No, pandemic is not 2 weeks. So, but at least I got in at the right time because, the moment I decided to release my space back to my landlady, she had it rented the same day. Felt like the Hunger Games, like that location. I knew how important that location was. So I was like, okay, I kind of done a lot of the vibe check before, really making sure I was ready to open the storefront. So I think, having those few things kind of in my tool belt really helped me to have a successful brand. I wouldn't say the whole time, but definitely got me closer to that, $1 million price point, which, in half the time of my last business, I was like, okay, I've been, utilized everything I've learned and put it into this business, but then made this business closer to my heart and helped both of those things help together to make it more financially successful earlier.
Yeah. So while you were talking and just kind of saying like you really just kind of figured it out, you didn't really have a plan, like
yeah, that's the Aries.
Yeah. Felt Aries.
Yes.
But we talked about one of our previous episodes, you just have to like have the audacity to just get started. Like you can't make it, oh, it's the right time, it's perfect. And I consider you an icon in our community. Like, you're iconic.
Shit. Thanks.
Yeah. People.
That's so nice.
People look up to you. People think, you're like celebrity status here in Louisville. I don't know if you realize that.
Oh, yes. I would never have.
That's the way I,
Thank you.
Yeah. Somebody told me about you and like, check her out. She's a really great person to like be connected with. And I, got on, social media, looked you up. And then I remember we were at Strong Women Strong Coffee event and you walked in a little bit late and I was like, that's Amanda Dare. I say, I have to go introduce myself.
Don't mind me being late everywhere I go. I'm so sorry.
And so I just remember like literally like waiting because, everybody like flocked to you and wanted to talk to you. And I'm like, I'm going to introduce myself. My husband was like waiting for me outside. Like, are you coming? No, I'm gonna go introduce myself to this icon here. But I just wanted to say like, it really shows like our community and our audience, like again, you don't have to know everything to build a successful business and brand, and you were just doing an incredible job of all of that. So I love you.
Yeah. I love you. Well, and again, it was like I welcome every conversation. I crave the sisterhood of this. I crave the friendships. I crave it, and therefore I put myself in situations, even if I'm nervous, even if I just think of Taylor Swift and being like, oh, I can do it with a broken heart. And you and I were chatting at that event, and I was letting you know I was about to get surgery. I have endometriosis, and it had been a 15, almost 20-year-long journey of trying to figure that out between doctors, back and forth between gyno and gastro, and not sure, and just. I can't wait to make more money just so I can invest in women's health research so much more. Thank you, Melinda Gates, for putting that, I think it was $100 million into mostly endometriosis and women's health research. Like, thank you. That is my goal. Like, let's get there. But we met and I told you I just communicate what I need. So I communicated a boundary to you in that moment and you held it for me. And so for me, I've had a lot of situations where I've overdone it,
overextended,
or been almost desperate for the sisterhood. So I didn't hold my own boundaries in when can I show up best for my community, for my sisterhood, for my village. And in those times, I got the resentment, of it, of like, I didn't hold myself as tenderly as I needed to in that moment. And I was about to have this surgery. I've been trying to find these answers for such a long time. And I was able to communicate with you about that. And you checked in with me after that, after the surgery. You gave me the time and space that I needed to be able to show up for you, and then also for Leslie, because you introduced me to Leslie, and I was like, I've been trying to meet her. In my brain, you didn't know, but I was like, she's cool.
We're trying to meet you.
Exactly. And I needed that time and that space. And I think when you are in transition, and one of the things you can best do is communicate that, but know your boundary of I do know that after holiday, because I owned a gift shop, after holiday, I have a little bit more mental space. I have a little bit more, my arms open a little bit more to give a deeper hug. I'm just a little bit more relieved after the time when I'm trying to make the most money that, keeps my business, quite frankly, open the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And if I don't have that time for that and I can't fully invest all of that, then I can't be relieved of it afterwards. Right. So for me, I felt like you held my boundary every time, and I also had to learn how to communicate those in a respectful way, and respect others in that way. And it's been so beautiful and helped me through a million transitions, I feel like. So thank you for that. And that's why I love you too.
Yeah, that's powerful, because one thing I've noticed too is I feel like a lot of us have boundary issues, just growing
Absolutely.
up. We just didn't have them. I know I didn't. And that's something that you have to learn how to, like you said, have the boundaries, but do it respectfully, so you're not 0 to 100, because that's where I was finding myself trying to find how can I set healthy boundaries. And that's so important, especially when you're building communities or have communities. And then you're building your business, and then so it's okay, how do we combine the two but still leave space mentally for ourselves, and all the things where sometimes we have to say no, or miss things, but still be there to build what we want to build. So I think that's really important to have, and it's something that all of us need to work on for sure.
Well, it's difficult when you're missing things that you how to communicate that in a way. For a long time, it wasn't viewed that within my family, and of course they have their opinions about it, but the way I felt was that my brothers' careers were seen as more legitimate, or something of that nature, to talk to them about or to celebrate when they had a great moment of promotion at work. But if I told them, oh, I'm going to do this, I don't come from entrepreneurs, so it was confusing about how to communicate with me about that. And it was confusing there. I got a lot of, yeah, you talk about this a lot kind of thing. And it was and I was like, oh, I didn't communicate hey, if you'd love to hear about it, I've been selling my art for 16 years. I have my own designs, but also I had multiple fashion businesses where I made every piece. So not only the finished product was my art, but the process of creating it, of drafting the pattern, of listening to, the customer, but also listening to them as my muse of how to design something for them that solved the problem, which is the business part of it, but also had that feeling come from me and the feeling come from them, to where it was a really beautiful artist and muse relationship. And my whole family is artists. So they understood the art portion, but they didn't understand the business portion of my life, and they didn't know how to combine those two. So I just got a lot of being confused about how to interact with me when their art was their hobby, but mine was my business. And so for a long time, I didn't know how to communicate how to say that, and how to be seen as still an artist like them, even though I was selling it unlike them at that moment, or in a different way, or maybe in a financially more successful way in that moment. And so I just didn't always feel like I had the verbiage, the wording to create those boundaries within my family. And then honestly, I do think that once I hit I truthfully believe that once I made more money in my business than they had brought in with their W-2 jobs, that they took it seriously. And then ever since then, there wasn't a question of if I could sell my art successfully. They knew that I was going to be okay, and they knew I would figure it out. I've always been a very independent person, but kind of thrust into that as like an eldest daughter, trope. But it has been very interesting to figure out how to utilize the communication and boundary setting as an artist and as an entrepreneur with people that didn't understand that, or with friends. I've lost a lot of friends over the years because I did have to prioritize and hold a boundary for myself to build it. To build something from nothing is it's millions of micro decisions and thousands of large decisions. There's decisions I make every single day that no one will ever see. And there are those connections that we have in those little moments that no one will ever see, but now we're bonded. Or now you've brought in Leslie and we have this great trio relationship where I know I can call Leslie just as much as I know I can call Sierra. Yeah. So it's you won't even see those millions of little things, but I wanted to talk about those millions of little things with my family, and that's where they couldn't differentiate how to talk to me about it, if that makes sense. They didn't have
It's like a disconnect.
Yeah, they didn't have the space available to hold that boundary for me so that I could be like, and this, and this, and this.
Yeah.
And I overdid it from a desperate place of trying to prove something to my family, and I don't feel that need any longer, mainly because I've been doing it a long time and that they consistently show up for me and they get it now. But it did take a very long time for my family, my friends, anyone that wasn't honestly a woman in business, which is why I'm I consider y'all my sisterhood, because I feel the most seen, by other women in business. So I lean into that. So for the sweetness of using the word icon or celebrity to me, I'm like, no, I'm just a girl. I'm just because I just want to be. I appreciate that I'm respected, and that's what that tells me. Those words tell me is that I'm respected in the community because I do show up and I do say I do what I say I'm going to do, and I want to walk very deeply, but it's not from a desperate place. It's from a generous place, but not a place where I'm like, please don't leave. Oh my gosh. Yeah. But instead I can hold your boundaries and you can hold mine. So it's hard to know how to talk about that with people who aren't in the same situation. And that's why we see each other. And that's why when we hang out, we're like, that was so nice. Yeah. We should do this again. Of course we should. Yeah. And we will. We just saw each other 3 times in the last week at this point, and it's just and we will again.
And we have a meeting on Friday.
And we have a meeting with the 3 of us on Friday, and I'm so looking forward to it because I love talking about this shit. Let's talk about it all day because the business side of it is really fun and the art side of it is really fun, and I like to live in both worlds, but I don't have that opportunity to speak about it with friends and family all of the time. And then sometimes it's a relief to not have to speak about it. Yeah. I was at a Friendsgiving yesterday. It's January, by the way. It's so hard to get everybody together. But I did tell them I'm more available in January. And they waited as well for that moment that I could also join because they're my college friends that, we were hanging out in our dorm rooms. And it's my husband and his 4 roommates. It's the 1426 gang kind of thing. We don't call them that, but they lived at 1426 something. Yeah. And so we all hung out for a very long time in a very formative time of our lives, and we want to have those moments. And it was cool that the first question isn't, how can I do this for my business or whatever? Because it was a relief to just hang out with people that just know me from being Amanda and not Amanda Dare, or just I'm Auntie Amanda there because there's 11 kids in our friend group, and I'm like, dang, I get to be Auntie Amanda. So I made ice cream with all my little nieces and nephews last night, and I don't have any children, and I've wanted children a long time, but with endometriosis, I have a very low chance of having my own children. And so I've engaged and appreciated the auntie role more and more. And they sent me all these beautiful messages about how lucky their kids were to have another auntie. And it was very sweet. And I don't know, I was just I just went home and just cried about how beautiful it was. I'm a crier. I love it. That's what an artist is though too. But yeah, it's just interesting to like have those moments of relief. And in these moments of transition, it's really important for me to have our business conversations and our friend conversations, of course. Like I do view it beyond the business every time I speak with someone about business. But in those moments where I'm not put on any kind of pedestal as I'm not interested, like I appreciate it. But it's the respect that I've always wanted in the icon or celebrity status. But really, my heart is like, can I just be Auntie Amanda?
Yeah.
And like even with your kiddos, you came into the store before I closed it in December, and we're like picking out all their letters so they can make a friendship bracelet.
They
And
loved it.
that's who I am, and I just try to show up as myself in every time that I can. So
Well, thank you for showing up because it's scarce, right, for people to actually show up in that capacity. And I think knowing you now, right, like, yes, I still see you like as an icon because you're such a great, like, you're a role model. Like you've shown women like what is possible when you just like put your mind to it and like get to work, like, and just do it. So that's more of like how I see you.
of course,
See
yeah.
that, other
Appreciate
people,
it.
but yeah, just like, being a role model in our community and, showing women what is possible. And so I think you're a little humble with it. Like I'm not like a negative way, but like girl, like you are very much an icon.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if you agree, but I see see it in that light. So
well, and I'm just living a work. I appreciate it. I accept the lovely bouquet in my showgirl era for sure, but I definitely, I just couldn't find my own pants this morning and couldn't find socks that matched, and you know what I mean. So and
another layer.
because I'm living it, I'm not intentionally trying to be humble. I'm just appreciative that it's the work that I've done for a long time has translated, and in my conversations and in my relationships, that's an art in itself that I have put in my 10,000 hours to become a master of. So I appreciate that it's coming across that way. And I think a lot of times what I'm just trying to help people understand is that in a lot of ways, especially business has been so patriarchal, and the standards of hierarchy and who's on top of this and, all of those things. And I know that in the society I'm trying to build and in the WOW world, there's matriarchy is the base, and matriarchy is a circle, not a line, not a ladder, there's nothing linear about matriarchy to me. It's very much how do we center the future. And if I want to be in the future with you all, I know that there's development that I can share and there's mentorship that I can share, but that benefits the entire community because by me being open with you and sharing that with you in a time and space when I feel that you're open for it as well, I'm able to know that then you'll pass that down to the next and the next. And I'm not that much older than y'all, but if you just see it as like big sister kind of role, that's really what I've been going for.
Yeah.
And being a middle sister, what's kind of nice about that is I used to be like, oh, middle child, like I need so much attention. It's true. But I'm a little sister and a big sister at the end of the day. Like I know how to be both. And I struggled a lot with trying to be a little sister actually, because I'm usually a leader, but I found a few big sisters of my own, and it's come down the line in a really nice way that the future can be less stressful around hierarchy and more stress put into the idea that we can all do this together. And I think that within the WOW community and with all the women that we meet up with and everything, like Woman-Owned Wednesdays, y'all have both been to, we've been able to kind of share those resources and share that time together and share that information that is viewed at traditionally as gossip. And I'm just like, yeah, but it's some good gossip. Like, they gotta know what's up. And once we know that it's good and it's for good intent, and we've established that part of our relationship and those boundaries, then I can enter into it in a way that feels very mentorship, or that's very kind of be also role model. I do want to model a life that is kind and generous, but also holds yourself. I think of it as self most inside. So I think I talk to myself a lot and I hold my inner child very dear. But that way, if I'm self most inside, I can be selfless outside. And if I can have that,
Cha-ching that.
cha-ching, we haven't even brought out the cha-ching yet.
But that was a...
I'm working on my little phrases. Do you like that phrase? Self-most? Because they've called us selfish.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's nothing ish about this. There shouldn't be anything ish. You should be self-most. You should, I should, everyone in the world should, but not coming from a place that they've viewed it as like a narcissistic place. It's from a, you know how to care for yourself and what you need in this moment, Leslie, you know, Sierra. And if you're doing that for yourself first and just communicating that to others, the relationship is already better because you're requesting that you enter in with a base of trust. And if I know that you trust yourself most, and if you trust yourself most, and I do, we enter into this place of not competition, of not hierarchy. And even it's beyond collaboration. It's connection. Connection is deeper than collaboration. But if we have that depth, then we can build the rest of it around it. But if we don't have the depth developed and we're not comfortable in that place, it's because we didn't tend to ourselves. So if I'm going to be selfless outside and share, there are boundaries that I now understand I need to have to feel safe to do that. And there are things I have to do at home. I have to do stretches in the morning for my endometriosis because it tightens up your body. I couldn't use my knee this morning. Like, you know, it's just random shit. I have to feed my cat at 9 a.m. because he's so cute and he bugs me about it. And I'm trying to train him on like what time of day and not to bug daddy about it, but to bug mommy, you know, so that I can feed him his wet food. And I sing the song and and it's just like, you got to add the whimsy in and then you got to romanticize the life for sure. And when I wasn't doing that, when I was holding on so tight to everything, nothing was working. And I was trying to I was mothering, and in a long time, I was like, or a lot of times I thought of it as like, oh, mothering is control. And it's truly more guidance. Y'all are moms. You know this. I listen to your episodes as well. You should listen to that episode. So good. But like, I feel like I was trying to do that. Now I'm just trying to sister the world.
Yeah.
And sistering is very direct and can be very fun and silly, but you get over stuff quick and you know that the intention is good from a sister and from an auntie versus a mom has to be much more, you know, strict.
Yeah.
And it turns out I'm just not a very strict person, you know, and so once I viewed that and released the need to become a mom in order to like view the world from that, how do we get the matriarchal, you know, society happening? I was like, oh, my role is a sister and an aunt versus a mom. And I'm excited for the mommies to be there and to, you know, interact with it. But that's just not my role.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate, you know, I think conversations like this are so important, especially for our listeners, because it shows, you know, like you were saying, like how, you know, you view Amanda and how people view Amanda as an icon, but behind that, you know, people don't see, it's so easy to look at someone and say they have all this success, like they've done this, they've done that, but it's easy to just kind of like overlook all of the hardships and the things that we have to overcome personally and professionally, because personally is huge. Like there's so many things, trusting yourself, like that's something I'm, you know, in a battle with. On our last episode we talked about, which has not came out yet, but one thing I'm like, I kept getting this like reoccurring message this year from different people in different ways of like, step into your authentic self, like don't be scared to be that person and show people that person, and trust yourself more is definitely a big message I've gotten this year. So I'm like, okay, like let me focus on that this year because I love personal growth. I'm all about it. Especially stepping into like an entrepreneur role, or just like you said, like the relationships, like all my relationships have just shifted this past year, like in the crazy way. And same thing, like you get called selfish, you get called this and that. And it's like, no, I just, you know, I'm going this way and you're going that way, and that's okay. But let me focus here. And then, you know, like you said, figuring out that communication and those boundaries, it's huge. So thank you for sharing your story and, you know, how you kind of overcame all the things, and you've had all these businesses leading up to WOW. And a big thing is, you know, do work on things and do more of what works do it even better, and then pivot is like the big thing. And that's kind of like the path that you're on. And I love that, where you're like, okay, this is what I'm being like drawn more towards now. And now I'm going to make this work. So I love your mindset of, I don't care. I'm going to make it work. I'm going to drive my shuttle around. I'm going to, open a store here and do this and talk to people. And, and then going into what you're going into now is a big transition. So I'm definitely excited to hear more about that.
Thank you. I mean, I always expected other people to show up for me without communicating what I needed.
Yeah.
And the only person that I ever knew would show up because I was very internal about what I needed, and didn't have that language around boundaries or just the communication style that people were open to hearing what you needed. There's a lot of language around that through a lot of therapy. Oh, so much.
Yeah.
I love my therapist. But it's through a lot of that and through a lot of self-reflection, a lot of personal growth we think has to happen externally. And I used to think of it so backwards, and I think it's because we weren't sharing enough. We didn't have enough of that good gossip, which is why I tune into here and why I'm like, I say a lot of things, feel a lot of things, but I'm a curious person. I want to know your story, but I also want to know your heart. And if I can see that you're able to hold a boundary and that we can have that trust and that you've put in that intentionality of showing up, we got a good start. That's how we can really get going. But if we're not able to let someone know respectfully of their situation, like, hey, darling, I have this really great, exciting opportunity that I feel like is really important for me to be able to engage with. I'm so sorry I'm going to be unable to make it to your birthday party. But you know what I'd love to do? I would love to make sure that we go grab a coffee and we get to celebrate. Trust me, I'm going to bring you some balloons or some yummy cake or something. I find the ways to interact with my friendships and my relationships in that one-on-one space if I'm not able to show up in those other moments. And those, to me, everything is learning. So I'm going to learn the rest of my life. So I'm a curious artist and a curious student. And if I look at everything as practice, and if I look at everything as a draft, I'm not scared to submit a draft. I'm not scared to admit or to put into the world is what I mean by admit. I'm not scared to present my practice. I mean, I love watching people practice. I'm like, but if I think of the whole world as that, and if I think of the whole world as curious instead of the judgmental, I'm a big Ted Lasso fan. My cat's name is Ted Lasso Darty, but Theodore Lasso Darty. But he goes by Teddy. But
His government name.
Holden. And yes. And Winifred Sanderson Darty. I know, because like I said, Dare's my middle name, so I always go by that. And I've always been Amanda Dare, so it feels very right for me. But yeah, I'm a big, be a goldfish, believe, all of his sayings from Ted Lasso, so good, of just having these micro moments change. I used to want to change the whole world. And I think in your 20s, that's something you're like, well, I'm the person, I can do it, I can change the whole world. But reality is that you want to change your world. If you change the world that you live in every day and you enter it and present these things over and over and over again, that's why they are millions of micro decisions. That's why they are in the small moments that create the world around you. And in that way, people now know that I'm never coming to it from a competition standpoint. And a lot of times when there's a hierarchy, you feel that you have to compete to get to the next level. And I welcome you into my level, whatever that is. In my brain, it's just which level of Candy Crush am I on or something? Or
yeah.
I don't play a lot of leveled games. I play Sims and I play Animal Crossing. So I'm I don't know how many villagers are on your island. What's up? Do you got any cherries? I need cherries on my island. I got peaches. What do you want? So we can visit each other and we can share, and it's even in my gameplay. You know what I mean? So for me, I love world building. So I love to play Sims because I get to build the world, that I want to live in, and then I get to present that as a fun thing. But yeah, I think it's and when I'm wrong or when I mess up, I just apologize. And if it's something where I know that I was like, oh, I was really harsh in that moment. Like I've come across, you know, the only reality for me is like you just weren't ready to engage with that in that moment, and I overstepped. And I'm here knowing that this, we had a conversation about leadership recently, Sierra, and I kind of was like, are you open to that information? Because I have some suggestions, and you said yes, so I had to request that and make sure you were open to it. And if you had said no, I said take the day, take as much time as you need, and when you're open to it, just let you know that I have some big sister advice, some mentorship that I think I could release.
Yeah.
And instead of holding that to myself so that she doesn't have an opportunity to grow, I welcome her into that conversation. And again, holding a boundary if she said no. Let people say no to you.
Yeah.
Say no to other people, but say it in a way that's like, oh, not at this moment. Or a lot of people expect when they come to me that I'm going to just solve all of their problems and that's truthfully why I don't want that hierarchical change. And so I try to, get to a place where we can, or not change, hierarchical structure, but I don't want to be viewed as a higher place. I've been doing this longer. I'm older than you. That's it. Like I've intentionally put this work in for a very long time. So I very much appreciate, that can be viewed that way. But when we do get to it, I try to like bring us both to the same place. And I'm like, no, like you are amazing. I want to hang out with you. I want to be here. I wouldn't be here if I didn't want to because I have good boundary setting.
Yeah.
But also I communicate like, hey, it's not the right time for me or whatever. But a lot of people come to me and they're like, they're not ready for me and I'm not available for them. And they think that this is somehow an issue. And I'm like, oh, like we just haven't established the relationship to be able to have that trust and that conversation that I know I can provide. So a lot of times, like with Woman on Wednesdays, we were at Story Louisville doing co-working. It's nice for people who haven't met me before to see that interaction with us all together so that they can see me pop around from, my friends call me a pinball, like at the bar. And I haven't been to the bar in a long time. I'm almost 37. But I mean, you can go to the bar whenever you want, but I just love a gummy instead. But I'm like, I'm just a girl. I'm playing Sims high with my cat on my lap. Like, it's not that serious. And like with snacks, like, I'm also diabetic, so I really should be chilling out with all my sweets. But hey,
It's hard.
it's so dang hard. It's so hard when they're so tasty.
They are.
So addicted to sugar. It's beautiful.
They make it that way on purpose.
I know. I mean, it's so good.
I always say it's my parasites that are craving the sugar.
Yes,
They come out at night.
the parasites.
My sweet tooth.
That's a good way to say
So
it.
I literally was saying today that I have a cavity.
Me.
I was going to say, you were at the dentist earlier. Like, my teeth are straight, but they've been giving me problems my whole life. I'm missing a few. I had to get stuff out. I had braces for like 8 years. Like, I wore headgear. Get braces.
Like, oh god.
Get them braces.
But, yeah.
Yeah, but if we haven't established that, I try to make sure that they can view me in that situation in a more natural way. Like I'm never not being myself or not providing that, but I do know the levels of comfort that people are at. And in the idea that conversation and relationships are just as artistic as a lot of the other endeavors I've had, it's been nice to be able to, like I said, put in my 10,000 hours. Like that's a common phrase, is like you have to put in 10,000 hours to be a master of something. Well, if I'm an artist in all mediums and a Jane in all trades, how am I, utilizing those in every single moment of my life to better my community? And in those situations where we can be all together, people that might view me because social media is fun,
A highlight reel.
obviously the highlight reel, but also like it's just fun. To me, it's a medium. It's an art form. I'm working on filmmaking right now in a lot of fun ways, and I want to engage with every single medium. I paint, I write, I sing, I dance, I laugh. Like anything, I converse. Like any art form, I just enjoy. But I don't expect myself to be, perfect at it, because perfect doesn't exist, and each one of us defines perfect differently. So there's been all the societal magazine version of growing up in the teen bop era of the 90s and 2000s of like the perfect body or the perfect whatever. And to me, if I'm living my perfect day, it's going to be that self-trust. It's going to be that deep conversation. It's going to be that fun and that whimsy with business in the mix as well. I mean, I like try to send invoices and then go have fun. And then when I get a little ka-ching, a little, then I'm like, hey, have fun. It's just a fun sound and then brings that dopamine that the work you're putting out into the world. You did a good job translating that value to someone else who needed it. It's really nice. And I just have to release the pressure valve, you know? I can't live within that bubble. Not interested either. Well, let's just hang.
I know. I love that you said like romanticize your life because that's so true. Like even if you're working on things you don't love, like invoices or like have fun with it, you know, because why not, you know?
Yeah. One thing I try to do is if you're uncomfortable doing something, how can you, I mean, like you said, emotional support drink. Leslie asked me like, what's my emotional support drink? I was like, ooh, that iced coffee sound is so good.
Yeah.
So good. But it's like, how do you control the environment around you versus the situation? So am I cozy? Like, do I have a comfy blanket? Do I have a little kitten on my lap? Like, that makes me really happy. Do I have that Taylor Swift's new song playing or like one that I needed to hear? Do I have like a bossa nova like playlist? Because I'm such a lover girl. I went on a walk the other day with my husband midday. Also new to my life, midday walk.
Love that for you.
I've never worked from home before. So I've been like 3 days at home. But I was like, I was listening to love songs all morning. And I was just looking at it. I was like, He was like, hey. And I was like, are you listening to something that feels good to you? Did you light your candle? A lot of people love to light a candle for like that. Yes, the ambiance. Did you control the aspects of your world that are with your five senses? If you did, then whatever you're doing, the situation you're engaging with, because a lot of people, especially for me, have called my business my baby. Being a entrepreneur since I was 20, they're like, oh, it's your baby. And I'm like, well, one, you would never say that to a man, so cut it out. Like, say that to my brother and see how he reacts to you. He'd laugh. And so I don't get sassy with it, but I have before. But I think that's also really rude. It's really disrespectful because, and I don't know how you engage with this exactly as being moms yourselves, but as someone who hasn't been able to have a child of her own from her body, it's definitely something that to call it that was really, I connected my self-worth to it and my control around it. I mothered it and it was not healthy. And so in a way, I just say I engage with this situation at hand as a puzzle. I love puzzles. Like I don't know how to solve a Rubik's Cube, but give me a week. Let's figure it out. I know there's a way. Yeah. There's a way. People do it. If they can do it, it's figure-outable. Exactly. But it's like I engage with it as a puzzle every day. And instead of it being my something that I birthed, I was like, that's usually said from a man to a woman as well, and is not giving either one of them the space that they need to be separate from each other. So for me, that's just something I've always kind of grappled with a little bit, and I don't think is like a language that is appropriate to utilize in business, because if you're putting too much of your self-worth into it and you had a bad sales day, oh my God, the mean things I would say to myself after a bad day at the mall, or when somebody came in and said my stuff was too expensive, or I had a stalker one day, and I'm like, cool. So now my baby has introduced like this guy that wants to stalk me in my business. Like what? Yeah. Like it's just not conducive to what business actually is. And so I was like, okay, it's a puzzle. I need to call, the security at the mall. I need to have a photo of this person. I need to alert my staff. Like it's a solvable problem, whereas motherhood and engaging with that is a continuous, separate thing that you engage with. So it was just always so weird to hear that.
Yeah. I remember the first time that you brought that like thought, that perspective to me, and I have been really trying to be aware of how I speak, right? Because our words are spells, right? Like, and if you speak that over your business, like you said, like you're gonna tie that into your self-worth, and it just can create so many other challenges for you. So separating the two, but still knowing that, you did build this from the ground up. You did create all these things. You did all of the work for it is really like such a great like perspective to have and to bring to our listeners. Like,
well, building versus birthing.
yes,
Exactly.
If you even have it as just a fun alliteration, a fun little phrase, like I've never said it like that, but if like those two things are very different from one another. I mean, can you imagine if somebody said you built your kid? I don't know. It just sounds funny.
I built them from the ground up.
I built them from,
Yeah.
and you kind of did, but like, no.
Yeah.
Like you built all the cells, that came into all the things in your, like, but it's not the same.
Right.
And also, if you want to engage, for me, always wanting to engage with sisterhood and with women, to have language that relates with women in a way that we can be moving forward in a business structure and creating our own version of business, as so many women, what is it, like 800 a day businesses are opened by women?
It's you know more of the statistics.
I think it might be 1,800 worldwide and maybe 800. And I'm sure it changes. It does change every day. That has to be a number that changes every day. But it's around, I want to say 800 a day. But only 6% of women-owned businesses make over $100,000 a year. No.
Yeah.
6%? Like, I'm in the 6% of women-owned businesses. Why? Like, we all need to be making more. I will say a lot of it is because of socialization, or, we want flexibility in our lives because we do have additional responsibilities as women. Auntie responsibilities or mommy responsibilities are definitely a chart topper.
Right.
But community responsibility is really what it is. And it's future responsibility. We put about 90% of our income back into our local community. So what my new goal is called, you're all investors to me. And we haven't viewed ourselves as investors because our investment, we were always I call it the jam winner. So we paid for the sweet stuff of life, whereas the bread obviously is like the base of a sandwich, or a piece of toast or whatever. But my mom actually utilized that language. She was like, well, I've been the jam winner. Your dad's been the bread winner. And I found out that I used to want to be the breadwinner, and I was like, turns out I want to be the jam. I love paying for like vacations, for my sweet stuff, like for the after school activities, like, and both are important. You need both to have a good breakfast, a good foundation for the day, So if we're putting 90% of our income back into our local community, I actually have been working on like stickers and buttons and stuff, pieces of flair, to be able to remind ourselves of that, so that we are the community ambassador. And then I've been using I have all these little icons like Penny the piggy bank. She's our mascot. So I'm even trying to help kiddos understand the difference, and everything's important. Financials are important. The community is important, but we've always been only looking at success from a traditionally financial place. And so my husband and I, I love him. I love you, babe. He's very, every time I like contribute, he goes, contribution, look at you. Like yesterday, I was like the one planning, the social stuff. And so if, again, I put that money into the jam winning and I do that jam winning super good, like he's been raised to be a breadwinner. And it's a traditional space for us, but it works for us because we have equal, in the way that we're equal, we have equal respect. So he was like very introverted, cutie mans that like doesn't want to make all the social plans and doesn't feel comfortable in that space. And you know me now. I can't shut up. I can't stop making friends. And literally I went to like lunch the other day and he's like, how long did you know that woman that you talked to for an hour about, your deepest, darkest things? And I said, oh, we met one time 9 months ago. And he was like, what? And I was like, well, she reached out to me and I thought that was really sweet. And she invited me to lunch and I picked the place and it was House of Marigold and it was really, really good. And they made the best. Y'all have to try their whipped cream there. I said, whoever made this whipped cream is getting a statue and it's going in my front yard.
Know that they're opening up in Louisville?
Yes, I do.
I'm excited.
I can't wait to put them on the map of Louisville businesses for women-owned businesses that we created. Wow, I'm so excited. And Adrian's a friend of mine that owns it. And I'm just so over the moon for her. But whoever made that whipped cream that day.
I'm gonna have to try it now.
Who made this?
I was like literally I'm telling my server Jess, I was like, Jess, I need a photo. I need a phone number. I need to like send them a good morning text every morning and like see if they'll deliver this whipped cream to my house, because again, that addiction to sugar felt so nice. But she was like, yeah, just leave us. She was super sweet. Also, she had really great lipstick on, and I was like, how do you keep this on? Because you're talking all day. Yeah, so now Jess and I are best friends. But it's just one of those things where it's not the equality that we've been like kind of surrounded by. It's like, do you have equal respect for one another and one another's roles in however and whatever you define them as? And in our house, we have that equal respect. So even like closing my storefront, I brought home like a ton of cleaning supplies, or I brought home an extra vacuum, or I brought home a shelf that we ended up needing in our house. And my husband goes, contribution. And I was like, yeah, and I mean, it is my home office now. So it's just it's really nice to have that equality, but not in the way that we've been, pay half and half, like, fuck off. That's not the way it all needs to be. And that's the way it's been viewed a lot of times. And I'm just really lucky that, my husband and I grew together in a lot of these ideals as times changed, as social media became a thing. We knew each other before that. And also I love that he doesn't have it. Like, we don't have any of that. Who are you talking to? But, and even if he did have it, I'm not concerned.
Yeah.
Find yourself a nice introverted engineer. They're so sweet. If you're a me, you know what I mean? Like, I think you got to find that balance. But if you're a artistic girly, he's such a beautiful, like, stable, consistent, deep, loving person in my life that he's invested as much as I am in WOW being a success, and all of my businesses being successful over the years, and has shown up he's in the pictures of us with all the volunteers wearing the pink shirt, and he's like adjusting the lighting to make sure that everybody has enough light on their table. But he doesn't want to be the leader in that way. And he appreciates how much I am able to lead in that way. So I just love him.
Love that.
I've been listening to a lot of love songs, like I said, and I'm just like,
We're all in the feels. I'm
such a lover girl. I just want to be a lover. I'm not a fighter. Don't make me fight. I will.
I just get scrappy up, dude.
I can get real scrappy. I mean, I come from really harsh women and critical women, and I can, but because I grew up with it, it don't ever feel good. I think about it for like 5 years if I say something rude. Like, I don't like it.
In the shower, when you're going to bed, you'll wake up at 4 a.m. Like, why did I say
Say it that way.
It's just a woman thing. Yeah. Just that.
And I'm just like, the overthinking of it on. I'm just like, don't make me do it. But if you come for something that I'm like really proud of, or that I'm really, I'll defend, but I'm just not interested in starting the fight.
You're protective.
I'm very protective.
Not
And I'm
instigator.
Exactly. Thank you for saying it like that. I feel protective. Aunties are protective. Don't mess with my nieces and nephews, or my sisters, or my brothers. I love my brothers. Don't mess with them. I'm the only one allowed to give them shit, not you. Because I'm your sister.
Yeah, I love that you shared your dynamic too, because I know it's kind of almost like it's been implanted in all of our brains since we were young of, okay, like we switch from your traditional roles of like man, woman, stay at home, and man does this. And then now it's more like, oh, like equality. And then you see all the time people like kind of spreading hate, like, oh, you want to be equal, pay this and pay that and do this. And like, then even, and even with like,
then we're not taught to be romantic. Like, where if you want a romantic relationship, be romantic. Like, treat her, find what she likes, my husband does that for me, brings me home ice cream. Like, it's important to know those little things. So that's something that definitely our younger generations can look back on, and that they have to redefine for themselves, because women really did financially. I mean, marriage is a financial contract. So we really do say we're going to enter this in together, and we're going to financially find a way to support one another. And in a lot of the times we haven't had the financial freedom as women. I mean, it's only been 50 years we've been able to have our own bank account. Like, there's a lot of things that we have to learn in how we want to propose it. And if men are open to that, it's not a knock or a I don't even want to say like an instigation, like you said.
Or put down or anything.
Yeah, exactly. But if I enter into a room and you're laughing at me when I ask a question because I'm a woman, or you look away when I talk every time, not once, you're allowed to like sneeze or like look at your phone. I don't care. Yeah. You're allowed to like be a human too.
Me while you sneeze.
But if we can't have equal respect, don't look at me. Close your eyes. But if we can't have that equal respect, then, is it worth it for any of us to be in the room? It's okay. Like, we can find other people to do that, but I hope that we can be open to one another and kind with one another. And as AI does come in, or as the social media does only feel like the highlight reel, that we're able to have these moments in person. I mean, this is definitely the year of like analog is like the word of the year, like getting off the internet. Kids are like, I just say kids because any age that's younger than me. Sometimes, my little sisters and brothers are like out there collecting physical media. They're calling it physical media.
What's physical, like DVDs and things?
DVDs.
Not physical media.
Not the physical media. I was like DVDs and like CDs and everything. And I'm like, oh, it's like when we, I collect vinyls. Like, I get it. It's exciting enough. It feels like you're connecting to something that was before your time. And like, that's fun. But it is interesting as I love getting older. I think it's such a privilege and a beautiful thing. But as I look back, I'm like, wow, this is an indication that, that's happening. And that we can also share that with them and be like, yeah, you want to see my CDs? Like, I just got out of my Honda CRV with like my 6-disc changer.
So, did you have one of those like zip up things? Yeah.
It's like a Trapper Keeper, remember those? Yeah. But it's like for CDs everywhere. My brother still has it. He like sends me it every once in a while. We made those CDs for I made cassette
CD. Yeah, you make it set.
My first car had a cassette player. It was 1995 Mitsubishi Expo. It was like the van before the sliding doors. It's weird.
Oh, yeah.
Fit a lot of people in it, though. It was real fun. Real fun when I was 16, yeah. We would go have some adventures in my white van that had, like, bumper stickers all over it. It was my mom's and then mine and all that. Yeah. Then my brother drove it after that, and, like, he drove it till it died. And that was probably, I don't know, 10 years ago or something. And so, like, you have all this, like, the technology changes, but the relationships and the way people interact with each other, we have to find those, like, again, those ways to romanticize it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is fun. It's silly and fun. And like to have something physical just feels so real. And as the internet came in, like we didn't know how to utilize it. And I kind of compare AI a lot to like the first internet and like when it came in and you didn't know what you were doing with it and you were just figuring it out. And
we were coding on us.
Exactly, being that coding. Yeah, I knew how to code.
It's crazy.
Like those little dolls on there that you could like dress them, or you could put your song on there. I miss having a song that you could be like,
I know.
Yeah, put some glitter on your bag, glitter on like your fun song.
Yeah, like we didn't know how to engage with it, and that's what I think of AI as. We'll find our ways. We'll find the ways that it keeps it, but we have to go through a lot of the shit to get there. We have to go through a lot of getting it wrong to get there, and we have to allow that as well. So, not that we were talking about that, but I think that's why the romanticizing part and the we're all in our own. They all see what they want them to see, what people want them to see how they want the world. But if you can be open to other opinions and other opportunities, then you get to decide for yourself. And I think it's important through that self-trust and that audacity that we're talking about, that you decide for you. You don't let the external things decide for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, going into a world of, social media has been around a long time.
Right.
And then COVID happened and we've lost the way of like community and connection, like real connection and real community, not like likes on a photo or like comments on your picture, or followers. But I think it's really important to still keep that forefront of, this is number one. I mean, for everything, for your life, for, if you want to start a business, community's the most important thing. And just those aspects like that we're missing a lot. So I think it's important to talk about, staying that top of mind, especially with AI coming in and then, social media and all the things, because it can get lonely.
Yeah.
And that's not,
and being lonely in your your romantic relationship sucks.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Yeah.
I don't want to be lonely in my own house. You know, like you got to find that real best friend, you know, and that person who will grow with you and find that lifestyle that you want to keep. I was talking to my friends last night where like they were all fighting a little bit about like, do you put the dishes in the dishwasher immediately or do you put them in the sink? And my husband and I were the only couple aligned that like, it's okay if they sit in the sink and then you load them all at once. Yeah. And that's just don't stay curious.
That's so funny. I had
But they were like not aligned. And they're like, no, you don't put it in the dish. And I was like, oh, it's little stuff. It's the little stuff. So I asked that on a first date. Do you put your dishes in the dishwasher?
No. Yep. Do you throw your clothes on the floor? Do you put them in the basket?
Is it okay if your basket overflows a little bit, or your socks next to your bed? Or are they in your bed because you took them off because you got hot in the middle of the night? Yes. I have to go around and collect my clothes from the whole house, you know, like, and I only have a 5-room house, not five. One day, 5-bedroom will be like my music room, my craft room, my husband's game room, my game room, like the cat's room, exactly.
Yeah.
No guest rooms yet. I guess I need to make a kiddo room so I can have the auntie time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyways.
But yeah, we had a couple questions that were submitted to ask you. Mm-hmm. So I'm really excited. Thank you all for submitting questions for Amanda. So we have one from Angela. And her question was, what is something you have struggled with since creating your brand?
What have I not struggled with since creating my brand? I think I should just leave it.
That's a valid answer.
I think a lot of times when we're starting a brand, we're not considering, and I kind of thought about this with one of the questions I did see, a little sneaky question from my friend Kate I saw, but a lot of times we're asking a question that isn't going to get us the answer that we want. So that's almost too big of a question to really dive into, but I'll try to find one. But trust me, that needs to be a whole series. That's a whole book. So that's my other thing I'm going to journal on. Thank you, Angela, for giving me that. But the struggle is real. The struggle is that your brand, a lot of times, depending on what you do, also, if we had a little more context, do we know what Angela does, or just so I could give it a little vibes? Maybe now.
We do not.
So what I do is, I try to create community spaces. The retail space alone, it's like, how do you make it as welcoming as possible was one of the things I wanted to have in my brand. But a lot of times we're making a brand about us. Is it our favorite color? People think pink's my favorite color.
Is it?
Really? What's your favorite color?
Green. I love green.
Very earthy. Yeah.
Earthy.
Nurturing. Yeah.
Nurturing.
I see that.
Money.
Money.
I have a complicated relationship with money, which is why I talk about it openly, because I think I have a whole book in me about how to not do it, But yeah, I think it's a lot about what we want versus what our customer wants, or what our friends or whatever. Like, we're just taking in a lot of external stuff and really working with somebody to help develop your brand based on what you want to create. Your art, your process, your creativity needs to be in your brand, but it's not your brand. Your logo is not your brand. So like, coming up with it, a lot of people told me that, wow didn't make enough sense or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, maybe I just need more time to explain it. That's not a problem. But it resonated with me, but also resonates with others. So like, you can say wow, and people used to be like, wow, Amanda, it's a lot of things. I'm like, yeah. And now they say, wow, Amanda, that's a lot of things. And I'm like, yeah. So you can use wow in a lot of ways. But also in that same vein, wow is used a lot. So my biggest competition online is like World of Warcraft for like domain names and stuff, because wow.
Well, that's very different than what you're doing.
I know, but it's like the wow.
Yeah.
I can't get a lot of wow stuff because it's a traditional, or not traditional, but an overused word in a lot of situations. So maybe finding something that's like resonates with you enough, but is viewed as like a big thing. A big word can be helpful in a brand. And also just making sure that whatever your goal is, that you're really leaning into that goal. And the clarity around branding that's usually misguided is that we either are making it more about vanity or about ourselves, where from a place of distrusting ourselves because we take in a lot of external, things and being like, oh, it should be. Like, it can be whatever you want and you can change it whenever you want. Like, don't be scared to rebrand. But don't forget that you're selling a product as a business, and what is that product you're selling? How do you want to tell that story? And your branding should go around that. So, and a lot of times when I've made mistakes on branding, it was that I didn't have the understanding or clarity around what I wanted to offer. And that led me down different colors or different things that maybe for me it was like a little juvenile in the beginning. And I'm a woman and it's woman-owned wallet, but woman-owned wallet engages with girlhood throughout womanhood. It isn't girlhood only or womanhood only. It has to be able to kind of bridge the gap. So a lot of our colors skewed a little young, where it just was only attracting girlhood or girls versus attracting women to feel comfortable engaging with girlhood. So kind of knowing my clarity around that helped me. I rebranded this past 6 months of color schemes to help tell that story better. So just thinking through those things, what is your goal? Making sure that the customers, it's customer forward, and maybe having something that resonates with you so that you can connect to your story, but isn't only your story. It allows room for the other stories to be had and for people to relate to it in a large way.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah, because I think a lot of the times, a lot of people overthink when it comes to like branding or creating a brand or marketing. How do we market? And it's really just trial and error. Like, you can rebrand, you can change things, like just try something. If it works, great. If it doesn't, try something else. There's never a wrong or right answer when it comes to branding. So that's really awesome. Another big thing is like psychology too.
Of course, yeah.
In branding, and pink is a disruptor color. So it's definitely stands you out and points you out. And some people may look at it one way, but some others, like there's a roofing company that has a pink
Is it the pink window one?
Yes.
Windows Plus?
Yes.
I know.
Like
and I'm like, well, when I need windows.
Exactly. You're like, pink, okay, I'm going to call you. So
it's a very emotional connection to pink being, pink is one of our most human colors. It's in the way we speak. It's in our mouths. It's in our, it's in our
skin.
Our skin tones all have everything. Like variants of different colors of pink. It's a very human color. And in a lot of ways, you want to be so forward with. So I was trying to attract sisterhood. And in that, people had to be comfortable with girlhood. So attracting that pink forward is very important. And people would walk in and say, like, I don't know if I belong in here. And truthfully, my goal was to attract women. I love working, alongside men, of course, as well. But if that's my goal, having something that's like bringing the moths to the flame, the psychology of pink in this moment of culture is that it's a feminine color, whereas that actually started out as a masculine color until the 50s. So it's just like interesting. It's cultural and psychology, to your point, Leslie.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you for answering that. We have one more question from Kate.
Yay, Kate. I told you I saw your question. Thanks, Kate.
So Kate's question is, what is one of the most overrated investments that everyone says you need, but you actually don't when you are in your early stages of business? In other words, what has a low return on your investment as a business owner?
Yeah, I thought about this because I did see it before. And I think, again, it's not that it's the way I want to answer it isn't exactly the way it was asked of me to answer. But I do find that I think going back to that point of clarity within your business and what you're offering is something that really drives where you need to put your money. And a lot of times it's that we've gathered this little pile of cash and we're like, okay, I've worked really hard. I've had my get in the game house. I have my little pot of cash to start. Maybe I'm going to make it look really pretty before I put in the foundation of it, because as women, we've been socialized that we have to look a certain way, show up a certain way. So a lot of times for me personally, what I put my money into in the beginning was packaging. packaging could be, there are simple options for packaging, and you can go really deep into it as well. Like you can go so deep into packaging. And it's not that I don't think it's important. It's just that it's usually over invested into. So a lot of my response to this is that the over investment into one area versus across the board, and especially in foundation, remembering that this isn't, and that this isn't a opportunity for you to birth something, it's to build something. Therefore, what's the foundation? Insurance, accounting. We got our girl.
Yeah.
You need the clarity around what you want it to look like and how you want it to be engaged with. How many bedrooms do you need? That kind of thing. Like, build the house and then make it pretty. And it doesn't mean, like, I definitely have invested heavily into design because I knew that my customer would love that. I love that. I'm an artist and I engage with that. But have I over-invested many times in 16 years? Yes. Have I not found the right accountant? So I've spent probably, I was trying to total it up. In 16 years, actually in just the last decade, I probably spent around $70,000 in just accounting because I didn't have the right person to work with, that either I was my own red flag or they'd give me red flags that I didn't, engage with. But I found, like, thinking about myself, like, I'm a small business, but I owned multiples at one time. So I had like the profit first method that someone got me into at one point. And then I found out a bunch of other people were like suing one person because like they messed up their books and everything. And I was like, yeah, that person cost me like, 40 grand or 50 grand because it wasn't, it's not that I paid them all of that, but it cost me that much because of the opportunities that we missed out on. Or now that I had this profit first method where I had like 20 bank accounts, not saying it's not a good method. I dove in too deep, but have 20 bank accounts when I needed like 4, or I needed 3 or 2. So like I leaned in so heavily and then I had to dig myself out of that. And that was the expensive part, is that I had to bring that to additional accountants to help me understand it when that original accountant wasn't working for me or wasn't the right communication style. So I like brought it to a bigger firm, and that bigger firm had to dig me out of that a little bit, closed another 10 bank accounts, but they charge by bank account. And if you're going to charge me by bank account and I have 20, of course I'm going to be overspending on what I need. Didn't need that much. So if I had some clarity around what I really needed, and I think that's through a lot of what we're talking about. There's a lot of community, like, again, listen to everyone's advice. But then I think I said this on like NPR when we were talking recently, and I thought it was cute. It's like you need to gift yourself the advice that works for you from everyone else. Yes. So listen to everything, take it in, consider it. Take the things out of that work for you, put in a little package, and then gift it to yourself. And I'm like, if you think of like all of this advice as a gift, but only utilizing the parts that really work for you, and maybe the parts that don't right now as a gift you're going to give yourself next year, on your 2-year anniversary of your business or whatever. But by noticing each one of those like pieces of advice, you'll be able to engage with it without feeling like defensive in any way. Because a lot of times I'll be like, you should, and like, that's still advice. But it can be presented in kind of a harsh way sometimes. So for me, looking back, I was like, I took all the advice from one person and only believed that, over-invested in that, and then had to dig myself out of it. Same with lawyers. Like, it's really important to have a great lawyer in a business, but do you need, if you're a solopreneur with your goal to just employ yourself, do you need a firm?
Right.
You don't. You need an individual that will work with you on that. Same with accounting, same with insurance. Do you need these massive things? Do you need the best designer that's ever existed with the most? You need great design. You can work with anyone and you can find that within your budget and within your scope. And I also overinvested, like I said, in packaging design. But I also over-invested in having packaging for like, if I buy 5,000 of this, it's a penny or whatever, per package. And that's nice. But I still use packaging from like 10 years ago because I over-invested. Yeah. So I think it's more about not exactly where, that everything's important in this. Like, you might say, website's important, design's important, legal's important. They're all important. However, over-investing in only one area instead of understanding that clarity around what you want for your business and then putting that into a present, gifting it yourself, and then spending money in individual areas at the level where you're at today with an understanding of where you want to go. Yeah. That's the important part that I think that we're misaligned on, and we misallocate our cash starting up front. Versus like the exact question that Kate answered. I think it's kind of a broader question that I realized I wanted to communicate that answer.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, that makes sense. I see what you're saying, because there's, talking with all these different women, there's women who are like, I don't have a website. My business is referral based, and that works great for them. And then there's some people who get all their business from websites. So like you said, really allocating with what works for you and your business venture, or, you know, whatever your goal is huge.
And if you only speak to that one person who their website gives them all of their referrals, or for me, I sell product, I do need a website, but could I have a TikTok shop? Yeah. Could I have an Etsy? Yeah. Could I? And you can build up to where you want to go. Yeah. And I think the part about the audacity that you were talking about earlier is that you're working on your end goal instead of your first goal. Like, you take that first step, maybe take the first 3 steps, see how it feels, and then adjust. Yeah. And a lot of people talk about keeping the 80% of something and getting rid of the 20. I think you keep the 20 and you get rid of 80. I think it's the opposite.
Yeah.
I think you have to really focus in on that 20 and be like, okay, maybe each quarter you decide what that 20% is and you drop it, and you do keep the 80 as you're getting started specifically. Like, if you are very beginner business, maybe you do keep the 80 because you're still playing around, you're still doing some development, but get rid of some each time, because that's clarity.
Yes.
Each time you make that decision to shed something, to let something go, it's clarity. And clarity is kindness, and your clarity will get you more customers. So having that clarity, even though you want to like go through the process, I'm obviously externally processing in this moment right now, you know, but it's like, what can I get rid of in this moment? And then eventually, for me now, if I get rid of 80, I transition out of 80% so I can really focus on that 20, because I've been, you know,
growing in.
Yeah, I've been finding it, and it's taken me a long time, and I allow it to happen. So that's the really important part, is the allowance of it feeling okay. And then the audacity kind of feeling like a big word, you know, but it's really the allowance and self-trust that maybe we can reframe that audacity as.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, thank you for answering that. Yeah. And thank you from Kate and Angela for submitting your questions.
Thank you, Amira.
I hope she answered them, and you guys got some clarity with what you were asking. But I think that wraps up today for us. Thank you for coming on. I had a good time kind of sitting and talking and learning more. Yeah.
The good gossip. The good gossip. That's my favorite phrase. TM. I gotta work on that. Yeah. Actually, I just trademarked Woman-Owned Wallet. It was a gift to myself. Yeah.
Congrats.
The Woman-Owned Wallet and Woman-Owned Wallet Tour are now official registered trademarks. So I have to change over my logo to have the little R after it. Yeah. I'm really excited. Yeah, the TM is like in the process of being trademarked, and the R is registered trademark. And I was like, oh, she's sassy. It took a year, so put it in, you know, early. It can cost a lot. It just kind of depends on what you want to do, because you have to register in different categories. So I'm just really proud of those things, and you know, Woman-Owned Wallet, she's mine. She's here. Yeah. And I'm glad to share her with everybody.
Yeah. And congrats on your new venture. Everyone be on the lookout for Woman-Owned Wallet Tour.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we're excited for it. So
it's basically, if you look up Woman-Owned Wallet on Google, and a lot of people get it confused, Women-Owned Wallet versus Woman-Owned Wallet. I think it's important to have woman there, because a lot of us are solopreneurs, including myself. But obviously working with everyone, people say women a lot, and I appreciate that. But Woman-Owned Wallet, the podcast, Woman-Owned Wallet, the show, which will be a YouTube show, which is what we've been talking about a lot, as the transition. So I'm very excited to engage with a new medium as a continuous, curious artist myself. So yeah, I would love that. And I think I got y'all a new subscribe this morning. So on your YouTube, I was chatting with my friend Sue and telling her all about where I was headed. And she was a little cutie. She was at Woman on Wednesday this past time. So I'll introduce y'all to each other as well. But I would love a little subscribe over on Woman Owned Wallet, the show, and on YouTube it's just Woman Owned Wallet. But you'll see everything and let me know how I can keep getting better. I love a little yap sesh. So yap to me on the comments, Tell me what's up there. And I'm just excited for this new journey of storytelling in a longer form than I've done before.
We're excited for you.
Thank you.
All right, guys, that wraps up another episode of HER Roundtable. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.